guys, I am Mary-Kate and I'm the creator of Froyo to Fitness, which is the platform that emphasizes living a healthy, realistic lifestyle. So I feel like you've probably seen me on Instagram, you might have read my blogs or seen my transformation photos, but I feel like we've never really talked face-to-face about my journey. So today I really wanted to just kind of do a tell-all about where I've been, about my journey, kind of what I've struggled with, and how I got where I am today. So as you guys know, I'm Mary-Kate, I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and I'm 29 years old. And so it really started, like looking back at my childhood, I was always super athletic as a kid. My parents did a really good job about getting me involved in sports at a super young age. So being involved in activities like that were never a struggle for me. But as a kid, I always loved food and ice cream, snacks, pizza, you name it, and food was super social in my family. It was about the time I was 14, I remember, is when I discovered that I just wasn't really the same size as other people in my grade. I remember it was like the first time I ever weighed myself, and I weighed 165 pounds. It was at that point that I became super self-conscious in my own skin, and I just remember looking in the mirror and really hating the way I looked. And I would look at other girls in my grade and just wonder why I was not the same size. I can vividly remember being in dressing rooms and coming out crying and just being so upset that jeans didn't fit me. I was a size 14, and I just remember being like, why am I not smaller? So my mom and I were on vacation in Arizona, and I remember seeing a commercial with about a weight loss program. I grabbed my mom out of the room. I was like, Mom, I need this program. Look at all these crazy transformations. I really want to lose weight. I need to go on a diet. You know what I'm talking about. And my mom was like, Mary-Kate, you're crazy, you're beautiful, you're still growing, just like any mom would do, right? And I was super persistent. I was like, no, Mom, I need this before I go into high school. I really need to lose weight. So I convinced her to buy the program, and basically what it was it created off of a questionnaire from your height, your weight, your activity level. It pretty much provided you with a meal plan. And it was really good. It was all about heavy protein, healthy carbs, and really good fats. And that summer before high school, so we had 3 months, I stuck to the plan religiously, and I was super active in sports at that time. So literally the weight just fell off of me. It was insane. I just remember getting just happier and more energetic, and just starting to feel good in my own body. And at the time I didn't have a lot of friends, so I was just really focused on myself. And I went to a whole new high school where I knew nobody, and I kind of just started fresh. So at that point I started to make a lot of new friends, and I started to get a lot more of attention outside of what I was used to from just my athletic ability or my intellectual ability or my personality. People really started to recognize the way I looked and give me attention for it. So when people didn't see me for a while and then they saw me again and I had lost all this weight, they would be like, wow, you look so good. How did you do this? And I really let it start to get to me. I, at that point, was really associating my happiness with my weight loss, and I really started to make a correlation between the number on the scale and how happy I was. So I can remember stepping on the scale pretty much every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, and getting super upset at why the number either wouldn't go down or why it was going up at some points, even if it was just a pound. And this, which I'll talk about later on, is I am totally team screw the scale now, because I just know that it's just not healthy, one, and two, our bodies are capable of changing even if the number on the scale doesn't. So I know there's someone out there right now that probably needs to hear that, and I promise you that it really doesn't always have to be what you measure off of. So at that point, I was started at 165 pounds and I got the lowest weight of 120 pounds. Mind you, I'm 5'9½", so I'm super tall naturally, and that was just honestly not a healthy weight for me. And although the eating program was super healthy, it was very, very clean, and I got to this point where, you know, it was just going on too long. I had like lost all this weight and I was eating so well during the week, but then by the time Friday came, I just wanted everything in sight. Same thing, I know you've been there, I know you feel me, girlfriend. You know, you get to Friday, you ate so well, and then you're like, well, you know, I'm just gonna have some chips and salsa, and then that turns into tacos with all the cheese, and then it turns into drinks, and then you're like, well, screw it, I already messed up, like, it's just gonna go through the weekend. So for me at that point, like, it was, I wanted a donut, and then I was like, well, I had a donut, so I might as well just have a Frappuccino, and then the list just went on until Sunday night came, and I felt so guilty, not to mention so sick, because my body was not used to eating those foods, and then I just binge ate completely throughout the weekend. So then I had this mentality of like, okay, I really screwed up this weekend, I feel so guilty, I feel disgusting, I am starting clean tomorrow, the diet starts tomorrow. I know you feel me, we've all done it, we've all been there. So Monday morning would come and I would think I would have to over-exercise. I would start eating so strict. Like, I remember I was like, okay, it's only egg whites today. That's it, no treats, no snacks. You know what I'm saying. So this really went on for years, but since I was so active in sports, I never really gained weight from it, but I created this unrealistic expectation with myself and this just yo-yo dieting cycle where it was clean Monday through Friday, binge eating on the weekends, and then restarting. So this really went on for years, and I just didn't really notice it. I thought this was normal. I was like, this is fine, like everyone does it, but it really isn't normal. We should not feel so much guilt with the foods that we're eating, and we also shouldn't be eating so clean that we're dying to have certain snacks. Like, if you want to eat a donut on a Wednesday, you should be able to. I don't think it should be like foods are allowed on certain days and not on others. So, and we'll get into that later on, but really that's something you guys need to keep a note on. It's all about balance, right? So in my freshman year, I went to Central Connecticut State, and I ended up getting a Division I scholarship there, so that's why I went there. So I played volleyball for a year, and I was super active again, so I really didn't gain much weight because it was just like crazy. I was working out like 3 times a day, and I was still doing this like yo-yo dieting. But it was when I transferred my sophomore year, I decided I didn't want to play volleyball anymore. So I transferred schools and I ended up going to Miami of Ohio. I wanted to be in a sorority and I really wanted to live the college life. But a few weeks into college, I realized like I am so not meant to have this much free time, basically. It was really, really hard for me because I went from having my day like planned out, literally every single minute of the day, to working out multiple times a day, to having like so much free time. It was just not good for me. And at that time, my boyfriend and I broke up, and I really just went into this really dark place of depression, and it was really, really hard. I had no idea who I was. I had no identity at that time because I was at this new school where I didn't know anybody, and I wasn't in a sorority yet. So it was just really, really a struggle for me. I ended up meeting fantastic friends, but at that time I really started to turn to food and alcohol as a coping mechanism, where before, you know, I was working out multiple times a day, but at this point this became what I did with my time. So I started drinking multiple times a week and on the weekends, and with drinking a lot comes a lot of binge eating, a lot of, you know, hangovers where you're eating, and just overall lack of motivation. So I definitely did not go to the gym like I was as I was active before. I just completely stopped working out, and I got to my heaviest weight of 175 pounds. I remember at that time, just kind of similar to when I was 14, just really feeling disgusting in my own body. I had no boyfriend, and I really just had no self-worth. And I remember just wanting to graduate so bad because I just wanted a fresh start. So I graduated and I moved to Chicago. I got a good job and I got an apartment downtown in the city, and I ended up getting a new boyfriend, and life looked really good on the outside. But on the inside, I was still deeply struggling. I didn't think I was pretty. I didn't work out. I was still drinking all the time, going to work happy hours. And although my boyfriend at the time loved me so much, I didn't love me. And in return, it just kind of put this barrier in our relationship. Because something that I've learned is that you truly need to love yourself before somebody else can love you. So I just would look in the mirror and like I couldn't see what he was seeing. And I remember going to work and I just was kind of going through the motions of like the 9 to 5, and I just really would go to bed every Sunday wondering what I was doing with my life. I was just very empty inside. And I remember thinking, I was like, okay, if I get a new job, I'll be happier. So I started looking for jobs, and I really wanted to get into medical devices because my brother and sister were in medical devices, and I saw how successful they were, and I looked at them as mentors. So I just started applying to jobs in medical devices. So I happened to get a job, and I was so excited. But they were like, oh, you have to move to Scottsdale, Arizona. And at that time, I honestly was like, Scottsdale? Sure. I was, of course, in this committed, serious relationship, but that was really the only thing like holding me in Chicago. I really just wanted an out. So that next day, I literally put in my 2 weeks, and I was like, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. So during that 2 weeks, I remember a girl at work had previously showed me this program called BBG. I remember scrolling Instagram and just seeing all these insane transformations, similar to when I was 14, and I was like, wow, I need to do this. So if you're not familiar with BBG, it's seen as BBG program. It's basically 3 days of 28-minute circuits and then cardio on top of those. So I, had those 2 weeks to grind it out, and I joined a gym. I would go in my big like baggy t-shirt with my messy bun. I didn't have cute workout clothes or anything like that. And I would just go and I would do these 28-minute circuits. And I remember it was probably like 10 days in, I just started to feel so good. And I remember this time I was like, okay, I'm not gonna weigh myself, but I am gonna take a progress picture. So I took a progress picture in my little Lakeview apartment, and I just remember I felt like that was like the first step. So the 2 weeks went by, I'm working out more frequently, I'm starting to feel good, and I moved to Scottsdale, and I didn't know anybody. So I get there, and I'm expecting this like new life to start, but like I was like, wait, I don't have any friends. So I was like, okay, my dad was like, I think it's a good idea if you start the gym there. So I joined the gym there, and unlike last time when I was kind of in this weird, anxious time, instead of resorting to food and alcohol, I started using the gym as medicine. So I started going to the gym and doing Kayla literally religiously. I followed the program to a T, and I just started to feel so good. Like my anxiety was just going away. My depression seemed to be non-existent. And I just started to look at myself in a different light. Like I felt strong. I felt like a badass. I overall just like had so much more energy. And at that time I started to eat really well. So I just lost like 40 pounds. And this time it was so different though. I remember when I was going to the grocery store, I was like, okay, I'm gonna shop the perimeter of the grocery store, just really focus kind of on how I did in the past, like lots of proteins, lots of healthy carbs, lots of healthy fats, but I was like, this time there's no restricting. I was like, if you are hungry, you're just gonna eat fruit, you're gonna choose a healthier option. And I feel like it was then that I rediscovered this relationship with food, where I stopped looking at food as a way to fit in a size 2 or get fit for a wedding or get fit for your birthday or that next trip. I really didn't eliminate anything. I also found alternatives. So I just did my research where I was like, okay, if I'm feeling sugar cravings, what should I eat? And they give options like, oatmeal or Greek yogurt, just like some alternatives that might not be as calorie dense or high in sugar, but still satisfy you. So before I knew it, I was just eating a lot healthier, and I was craving more healthy foods. So at that time, people would kind of start to judge me. And I'm sure you guys have dealt with this too, where, your friends, they're not used to you not drinking as much, or they're not used to you eating so well. And they're like, come on, just eat a burger. It's not going to kill you. Or eat a brownie. Or Mary-Kate wouldn't do that because she is so healthy now. Like, people start picking on you because you're eating healthy or you're not drinking as much. And it's so weird. The psychology behind it, I'm not sure, but I know you guys have experienced that before, where it's so interesting because you would never judge someone being like, oh my God, I can't believe you ordered fries and a burger. How dare you? So it's like the reverse. It's like, how could someone judge you on that? But, of course I did get some judgment at first. Not like my friends weren't being mean, or my family, because they were so supportive. But it was just more so people that were like acquaintances with me, like people at work or people that haven't seen me in a while. Not so much my friends and family. So if you are dealing with that, I always just tell people that's always a reflection of other people, not you. So because they're uncomfortable, there's something going on with them. So you just have to kind of shut that out, and you have to just do you. That's what I always tell people. Everyone's always going to judge. And it's always coming from their own insecurity. So, yeah, at that time, like I said, I was just living and thriving, and it felt so good that I really started using food as fuel, and the gym was my medicine, it was my therapy. And since my job was so intense, I really couldn't drink a lot. So, because I was on call 24/7. So I started noticing that since I wasn't drinking as much, I also was a lot happier, and I had a lot more motivation, and I didn't have as much anxiety that I used to, because a lot of people ask me why I don't drink a lot anymore, and that's truly the reason, because I'm just happier and I feel so confident in my own skin that I don't need anything else to fulfill me besides exercise. So, I mean, I definitely still drink, but just not as much as before. So I started to, again, just really feel empowered by fitness, and my friends came to me and they were like, hey, Mary-Kate, you should start this fitness Instagram. And I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, what's a fitness Instagram? Like, what are you talking about? So they basically were like, you pretty much post your pictures on the internet and you tell people about your day and like what you ate and what workout you're doing. And I was like, that is so weird, you guys. I was like, there's no reason people need to know what type of workout I'm doing or what I'm eating. But I was like, thought about it more and more. And again, I was in Scottsdale by myself. I had enough time on my hands. I was like, okay, sure, I'll do it. So I told you guys before, I took progress pictures this time. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll start with that as my first post. But I also need to tell you how it got named. So at that point, I felt like I had developed this really healthy, realistic lifestyle versus in the past where I was very on and off dieting. So I was like, okay, what can I do? Like, what can I name this that kind of encompasses that? And I love Froyo, and then I love fitness, and I really wanted to create something where people felt safe, where they felt that you can still live your life while getting fit, and you don't have to deprive, restrict, cut things out, that you can still have your Froyo and you can still have your fitness. So that is when Froyo to Fitness was born, and that's kind of how the name came about, because that's everything I believe in. I believe that you don't have to suffer. I think that you can still see tremendous results while living your life. And I want you guys to know that. You do not have to give everything up. You can make baby changes that lead to big results. So Froyo to Fitness started, I think like 4 years ago. It's crazy to think. And I took that first progress picture and I posted it. And I remember people just showing up. Like, girls were messaging me and asking me questions. And I just couldn't believe it. Like, I didn't think anybody was even gonna come. Like, I didn't expect anything out of it, right? So before I knew it, like Kayla, I got lucky enough to get featured by BBG multiple times and posted in Cosmopolitan, and it just evolved. It just kind of grew and grew. And at that point, I became so inspired that I knew there were so many of people that I could help. So I created my own workout guides, and that's really when the programs were born. I had done vigorous training, I got my personal training certification, and I just became so confident that I was like, I need to start something where people like me don't feel alone. So that's my whole goal, is I want you to use fitness as a way to empower you to feel like your best self. I want you to look at food as fuel and know that you don't have to restrict or you don't have to deprive. I want you to know that there's a community of women out there that feel the same way that you do. And I want you to know that you're not alone, and I am here for you, and I'm here because I've been in your shoes. And I want to inspire you and motivate you and help you become the best version of yourself. So that is what Froyo to Fitness is all about. That is my journey. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I can't wait to hear about your journey, because that's what this is all about. It's all about you becoming better, and it's all about me helping you get there. So I know it's gonna start with you, and I know you're gonna thrive, you're gonna do great, you're gonna take that first step, you're gonna take that leap, and you're more than capable of doing so. I hope you feel empowered, I hope you feel strong, I hope you feel confident. Let's do this together.